Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, if you guys have been following my videos for the last couple weeks or so, I've been playing around with the Aegis Aurora and building a pretty crazy ass, uber tanky ass build. And what you'll see in the background as we go into the build guide will be me tanking, yet another boss for exuberant amounts of time. By the way, this one I didn't die and I ended up killing it, and you can watch that kill right at the end of this video. Now, what are we playing? Well, we're playing pretty much an OG Vortex build here. As you can see, we've got Vortex mapped to our movement button. And then basically, how we proc further damage is by having Cold Snap. So you'll drop Cold Snap, drop your Vortex, and basically hit 2 buttons on bosses. And then on top of that, we run an Arcanist brand, which applies Frost Bomb and also Elemental Weakness for our second curse. Now, this is an Occultist build, so it does use Profane Bloom. So as you would have seen on screen and in streams and everything else, it does explode enemies and everything into chaos damage. It converts elemental damage into chaos damage from my understanding. Or, sorry, it doesn't convert, but a portion of the health explodes as chaos damage, and then that takes out packs a lot quicker. Which means we can focus on scaling up the build and, basically making this big meat bag of, well, not meat bag, an energy shield bag of hate. Now, some of the things that make this build strong, and these will be questions that you might have around how the build works, and by all means post in the comments below and ask whatever questions you can. This one wasn't necessarily easy to balance as it is, and there's still some things that can be done on it. For example, I could get a better Empower Gem, a level 4 Empower Gem. The reason why I don't is because it's 10 Exalt, and it's not really achievable. Do you need the second Enlighten, which is sitting in here and here? Probably. These are like 4.5x at the moment. I got lucky with drops in Delve. Do you need a shield with 59 energy shield gained when you block? Not really. It's just a really good Krangle. If you can Krangle it yourself, do it. It's a tier 3 Scourged item. Outside of that, we haven't got Perfect Helm enchant. We could do better with mana management, better gems as well, jewels as well. Skin of the Lords just uses Mind Over Matter, which has 0 effect on energy shield based characters, so it has a nil effect, but we really want Unwavering Stance. But again, it's like 20x item. Is it really worth it with the right soccer colors? I don't know, you tell me. Outside of that, we could get a better wand, we could get a better amulet. There's a lot of things that we could do in this build that could be better, but obviously that comes at great expense. Now you'll ask, how much is this build? Probably around the 50x mark right now, give or take. That's probably even overestimating it. That's not cheap, but I've done iteration build sort of videos on, at 10x and then, so on, so on. 50x is to min and max it, to fit in as your key auras and get it all working, and to get it to a level of tankability that is just ridiculous. I think most comments say that a lot of newer players, this is much friendlier and they've been able to take down Cyrus A8 for the first time. Now, where the power really comes into is getting this Vortex gem up to as high a level as possible, and then that scales your dot over time. Now, there were comments about the move of, I think it was Elemental Equilibrium. Just to put that to bed, you don't need Elemental Equilibrium. If you can make that work, more power to you, but you don't realistically need it for this build to work. The buffs in 3.16 to Dot, in particular for Cold Dot on the Occultist, were significant enough that you don't really need it. Now, some of the other problems you'll run into with the build will be balancing attribute points for dexterity and strength. As you'll note, like, I still have rolls on certain items to be able to satiate this. Not necessarily the easiest thing to do, but I've managed to work around it. Could you get more ES into the build? Absolutely you could, but then you would have to look at defensiveness problems. Now, the other problem is getting enough mana to be able to sustain running Cold Snap, Vortex, and also casting Arcanist brand. And, that's just something that you're going to have to work with. Now, you could do for League Starter. I wouldn't recommend this iteration of the build for League Starter, but definitely a life version, then converting to this would work perfectly. to get this off the ground, it doesn't require huge amounts of currency. Really, you could get away with not having Skin of the Lords. You're just going to lose defensiveness. But you will basically need Aegis Aurora to make this work, and at League Start, this is generally a cheap shield. Though, unfortunately, it is less cheap because the price went up, though you can still get low rolls for this particular item. Pretty much that's it. We even abuse the regenerate 180 or 150 energy shield while you're near a rare or unique enemy, which makes bossing ridiculous on the belt. Again, you could get a significantly better belt, but this is a pretty good belt as it is. What's this bad boy worth? 2.3x. So, you know, it's not like mirror tier items, but, you know, it's getting up there now. The damage, you'll notice it hasn't got the highest amount of damage because we trade damage for defensiveness. So we get about 1 million dot on Vortex, and then on Cold Snap, we get about 164k. And there's obviously other scaling factors. This is Cyrus damage and no other weird and wacky things ticked on here to try and distort that. I do get an onslaught because of my boots, but that doesn't really affect anything. But yeah, anyway, let's get into the build guide and go from there and talk through this build. Okay, so for weapons, we're just going to be using any old Opal wand. Now, the key thing for the weapon is you're going to want to get +1 to level of all skill gems. So we're looking at scaling up our Vortex skill, gem level. To do this, we need a +1 wand. Now, you can get better wands than this. +1 is a lot more affordable. This will probably set you back about 1x. You'll also want to craft on cold dot multiplier over time. And also, if you can get any other dot on the wand, then that's an advantage. And obviously, as much spell damage as you can possibly stack on the wand as well. Now, Aegis Aurora is pretty much the center point of this build. You don't need to have a crangled version of this. You just need to have a good enough version that it gets you through. Higher roll, the better for energy shield. The elemental damage with attack skills will not have an effect, but what makes the shield special is the replenishes energy shield by 2% of armor, and we're looking at stacking about 55 or 40 to 50,000 armor on this build, and that's significant. This also gives you 5% to maximum total cold resist as well, which is just an added advantage of this shield, but pretty much this is key to the entire build at this stage. For armor, we're just simply going to be running a Crown of the Inward Eye. You can get this from a standard Cyrus drop. In the enchant department, I did get a discipline mana reservation reduction or efficiency enchant. You don't necessarily need this. This is just a really good item for high armor, high energy shield, and everything that you need for this build to pop. Skin of the Lords is the armor that I'm using for the chest component. This does provide a significant amount of defensiveness around stacking more energy shield. Now, please note, you do need to specifically get the gem sockets that are on screen to be able to run the build the way that it's intended here. One of the caveats of Skin of the Lords is that you cannot chrome the jewel sockets or the gem sockets, sorry. So once it drops, whatever sockets it has, it drops with, it is what it is sort of scenario. Now, I have Mind Over Matter. This has no impact on energy shield, but you can get other rolls. Ideally, you want to get Unwavering Stance, but the cost goes up with that particular roll. Thirdly, we have just Arcanist Gloves. We're going for high levels of energy shield, resistances where we can, and also I went for energy shield recharge rate. Now, you can get any enchant on this. There's no specific prescription, but the Frost on Kill isn't bad and in the way that I'm using the build currently. For the belt on this build, I'm just using a crystal belt. I did quality the crystal belt. The other thing that I've also done is rolled on regenerate 180 energy shield or 150 energy shield per second while rare or unique enemies are nearby. This is actually what you get from doing syndicate encounters. Now, I just focused on all resist and also elemental damage in this respect. For the boots, I'm just running Arcana Slippers. Now, I went for high levels of energy shield to stack it up further. The enchant you want to go for is ideally regenerate 2% of life per second. If hit recently, this means as you take more damage and as you block, your energy shield regeneration will skyrocket and make you basically unkillable. Outside of that, high levels of ES. If you can get a movement speed with onslaught roll, even better. That'll make clear speed increase. But apart from that, nothing really crazy or anything like that that you need to be concerned of with the boots aspect of this build. For the rings and the amulet in particular, you're going to need something to boost up your dexterity. I did target specifically for 1+ the level of all intelligence skill gems. This is to level up Vortex another level. I also went for a Malevolence has 43% increased mana reservation efficiency, so I could pack as much aura into the build as I could. I did also get a Charisma Anoint on the amulet as well. This is going to set you back because this is 2 gold oils and an opalescent to do that. For the rings, just very simple 2 stone rings to max out resistances. My targets were maximum energy shield where possible. In particular, 1 ring with frostbite on hit. I do have shocks nearby enemies when focused, and you'll notice that I use the focus skill to do this. This amps up my damage on enemies because it then shocks them. And then on my second ring is just basically trying to cap resistances where possible and some mana regen because mana management is a bit of an issue with this build as well. So for flasking, we're just running a Quicksilver Rumi's concoction, a Basalt Flask for increased armor and taunt, a Granite Flask as well for increased armor, and a Quartz Flask so we can phase. You'll notice with all the crafts on here, I've benchcraft used when charges reach full, and I've also got gain 4 charges or gain charges when hit. The reason why I do this in particular is simply so that I have auto casting flasks. So as you get hit, in particular with Delve, or as you take damage, your flask will automatically trigger straight away because it's constantly regenerating flask charges from getting hit, and then it'll basically just cycle. So the more damage you take, the stronger you get. You can keep your flask pretty much up infinitely. Similar to a Mage Blood, but just a really cheap way of going about it. Unfortunately, this isn't possible with the Roomies, but once you regenerate enough charges, you can do this. And the Quicksilver, I just haven't crafted on a gain 4 charges when you're hit by enemy for this particular flask because it just wasn't really necessary. Anyway, this is the flasking setup that I went with this build. For jewels, absolutely no cluster jewels in this build at all, just to make it nice and easy. If you did add clusters, potentially you could improve the build further, but balancing that is really hard and also not necessarily obtainable for every person out there, so we've made this really simple. So a Corrupted Blood Immunity jewel is the name of the game. The modifiers that you want for any non-unique jewels are just going to be damage over time multiplier and maximum energy shield and any other attribute that assists your build. For the Watcher's Eye, I don't have the best Watcher's Eye on this, mainly for budget reasons. Ideally, I'd want a Malevolence dot roll, however, you know, that's 10 to 20x, so we ain't going to invest into that. Instead, what we've actually done here is regenerate 2.2% of energy shield while affected by White with Discipline, and also increase recovery rate of life and ES while affected by Malevolence. So where we don't get as much damage out of this build, we definitely make up for in just pure sustainability, which is pretty much the name of the game with this this playstyle. Right, so for gem setups, we've got in our body armor, Vortex and Power Hypothermia, Awakened Elemental Focus, Awakened Swift Affliction, and Awakened Control Destruction. In the shield, we're running Flame Dash, Rejuvenation Totem, and Frost Blink. You can switch out the Rejuve Totem for something else, entirely up to you. Put a Portal Gem in it, it's really not going to significantly hinder the build. In the helmet, we're running Molten Shield, Cast when Damage Taken, Hatred, and Enlighten. In our wand, we're running Arcanist Brand, Frost Bomb, and Elemental Weakness. In our boots, we're running Cold Snap, Control Destruction, Bone Chill, and Efficacy. And then finally in our gloves, we're running Malevolence, Enlighten, Veil Discipline, and Determination. Alright, so for the fun stuff, now the passive tree. So we've just got our path of building open here, which will be provided in the description. Pretty much we're starting at the witch zone, so we'll move up, we'll take the energy shield nodes. We are going to grab practical application. This is good for just interrupting any stuns and gives us strength and dex early on. We do take arcane will and arcane focus. This is to get our ES recharge up, as well as our flat energy shield, as well as our mana as well. Then we'll come up and we'll grab Essence Surge. This is again to get faster start of energy shield recharge. You will get the energy shield mastery in here too. Then you'll come up, you'll grab Breath of the Rime and Heart of Ice. Then we'll move to the right and we will pick up all of our influence nodes and our reservation mastery for 15% increased mana reservation efficiency, as well as Arcane Sanctum. Now, until you get to about 2500 energy shield, you won't pick up Chaos Inoculation. We need to have enough energy shield to be able to sustain this before we take this node. Then we'll move back across. We'll come and get Prodigal Perfection, and we'll get Mystic Bulwark. This will just synergize with Block. And you'll also get Mana Mastery, so 10% of damage taken recouped as mana. Now, this isn't necessary, but it is good to have. And then you don't necessarily need this node here. I'm using it to sustain mana a lot more efficiently, but entirely up to you. Each build is going to be just that little bit different. Then we'll come up, we'll pick up the Jewel Socket. This is where we're going to put our Corrupted Blood Immunity Jewel. We keep progressing to the left up to Unnatural Calm. We'll grab this, and also Discipline mana reservation efficiency. You'll get Acrimony, which is going to increase your dot. Then we come down, we pick up Insightfulness, and we'll also get 3% maximum mana gauge mana as extra energy shield. This is obviously going to give you more ES. And then we'll come down and we'll pick up Essence Infusion. This is going to get our recharge rate up, which is important for this build. Now, if you do need it, Agility and Might are sitting right here, and you can take these. Now, you will come up, you'll get Zealot's Oath, you'll get Arcane Guarding. You will want these block nodes here. And then we'll come down, we'll grab Sovereignty, and we'll pick up this increased effect of reservation nodes as well. This is going to be better than picking up this 6%. Obviously, Mastery is a really good addition to the game. Then we'll come down, we'll pick Faith and Steel. We are going to come straight across. We're going to place our Watcher's Eye in this node here, and we want to get to Glancing Blows as soon as we can. Then we'll come up and pick Sanctuary. This is going to increase our resistance, overall resistances and block. And I have Righteous Decree, which is dealing with the mana problem further. I've also got Sanctity. This is going to give you increased armor and ES. Now, one thing that's new to this build for this league is Divine Shield. So this does use Divine Shield, and what it means is you cannot recover energy shield to above armor. Well, the funny thing about running an armor stacked build is we have about 55,000 armor, 40 to 55,000 armor. What this means is we would need to have 50,000 energy shield for this to be a negative impact on the build. And so what that then allows you to do is 3% of physical damage is prevented from hits, that has been prevented from hits recently, is regenerated as energy shield per second. So this increases our ES regen for physical damage that we take. Not only are we max block, we've got maximum armor, but our armor is actually providing further regeneration to our energy shield, which is what makes this build so powerful. We'll also come and get Sanctum of Thought, and you are going to want to get armor, the armor and energy shield mastery for defend with 120% of armor while not on low energy shield. So we intend to be on high levels of energy shield, so we're going to get a flat 120% boost armor. And this is, I think, one of the questions of how is your armor stack so high? This node actually provides a huge advantage to being able to do that. Now for Ascendancies, you will basically get Void Beacon first, you're going to get Frigid Wake second, you're going to get Profane Bloom third, and then Malediction fourth. And that hopefully by that point you can have 2 curses. That's fundamentally the entire tree, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. Okay, so I hope the guide helps you sort of get on the right track to get your version of this Vortex Occultist working the same way it has for me. So far, this has made me this has gotten me down to about 550 delve and still progressing downwards. I'd say it'll probably top off at about 800, 850 delve, which is pretty respectable. Bossing, not a problem. Sarasaya, not a problem. T16 plus maps, not a problem. It has no problem doing the formed. I haven't tried it on the feared yet, though I will eventually do that. Yeah, just a really good build. Anyway, if you like this video, drop it a like. Or if this video helps you, drop it a like. Drop a sub to the channel. And until next time, have a good one, and bye.